The paper was always carefully chosen. Sometimes good stationery saved for special occasions that never came. Sometimes torn from school notebooks, edges ragged. Sometimes the back of official documents, the only paper available in institutions where everything was rationed, even hope. But it was always treated with reverence, these letters to the dead. Sister Margaret Holloway of St. Vincent's Orphanage in Liverpool kept a locked drawer in her office. Inside were 127 letters, written between 1940 and 1945, addressed to parents who had died in the Blitz. In 2003, when the orphanage was demolished, that drawer was discovered behind a false wall, perfectly preserved. The letters revealed a phenomenon historians had overlooked. Across the industrialized world, in every major conflict of the 20th century, orphaned children had been writing to their deceased parents. Millions of letters, most destroyed, some hidden, a few preserved by adults who understood they were witnessing something profound. This is the story of those letters, and the children who needed to believe their parents could still hear them. The practice emerged during the First World War. As casualties mounted and orphanages filled beyond capacity, child psychologists noticed something disturbing. Children who had witnessed their parents' deaths often stopped speaking entirely. Dr. Helena Rothstein, working at the Vienna Children's Hospital in 1916, documented what she called grief mutism in war orphans. Of 342 children admitted between 1914 and 1918, 127 became functionally mute within weeks of arrival. Her solution was accidental. A 9-year-old boy named Josef, who hadn't spoken in 3 months, was found writing on scraps of paper stolen from medical supplies. The notes were addressed to Vasi, father. Simple sentences about his day, questions about heaven, apologies for things a child shouldn't need to apologize for. Rothstein brought him proper writing paper instead of punishing him. Within 2 weeks, Josef began speaking again. She implemented what she called correspondence therapy throughout her ward. Of the 127 mute children, 89 began speaking again within 6 months. But she noticed something else. The children treated these letters with extreme seriousness. They would rewrite them multiple times, seeking perfection. They would fold the letters with painful precision, as if the accuracy might affect whether the letter reached its destination. Most tellingly, they would cry when they finished writing. Not the wild grief of fresh loss, but a different sorrow. The realization that they were maintaining a fiction, that this was all that remained. When Rothstein fled Vienna in 1938, she brought 3 suitcases. 2 contained essential belongings. The third contained 2,247 letters from children to dead parents. She considered them her most important possessions. The letters share common characteristics. They're formal, almost stilted. Dear Mother, or Dear Father, never the intimate mama or papa they would have used in life, as if formality might make the impossible communication more official. But within that formality, heartbreak seeps through. Marie Beaumont, age 11, writing from a Paris orphanage in 1917. Dear Mother, I hope this letter finds you well in heaven. I am trying to be good. I miss your voice. I cannot remember exactly how it sounded anymore. This frightens me more than anything. If I forget your voice, will you still know me when I come to heaven? Please don't forget me. Marie died in the Spanish flu pandemic of 1918 at age 12. The phenomenon accelerated during the Second World War. The National Archives in London contained 47 boxes with an estimated 8,000 letters from war orphans. These were found hidden in spaces children thought were secret, under mattresses, inside hollowed-out books, buried in gardens, tucked behind loose boards in walls. The children hadn't wanted adults to find them. These were private conversations meant only for the dead. Thomas Bellingham was 8 when a Luftwaffe bomb hit his family's tenement in London's East End on November 15, 1940. His mother died instantly. His father died 3 days later. Thomas was pulled from the rubble with a broken arm and permanent scars. He was sent to Highgate Reception Centre with 200 other children. The staff noted he was unusually withdrawn and possibly in shock. What they didn't know was that Thomas had found a way to cope. Every night, by moonlight through blackout curtains, he would write. His first letter, November 23, 1940. Dear Mum and Dad, they say you are dead, but I don't believe them. You are probably just hurt very bad and in hospital. When you are better, you will come get me. I am being good. You taught me to be brave. I am waiting for you. The letters continued for 7 months, charting the slow process of accepting the impossible. December 1940. How can you be dead when I can still remember what you smell like? Mum smelled like soap and bread. Dad smelled like tobacco and metal from the factory. Dead people don't have smells. March 1941. I'm sorry I was bad sometimes. I am sorry I broke Dad's watch. I am sorry I made Mum cry when I wouldn't eat my vegetables. If I had been better, maybe God wouldn't have taken you away. The guilt appears in almost every letter. Children believe they caused the death somehow. The letters become confession, apology, desperate negotiation with a God they're not sure is listening. April 1941. Everyone says you're not coming back. I'm starting to believe them, and I hate myself for it, but I'm so tired. Is it okay if I stop waiting? His final letter, June 28, 1941. Dear Mum and Dad, I am going to stop writing now. Not because I don't love you, but because it hurts too much. Every letter is like saying goodbye again. I can't keep living in two worlds. I have to choose the world where you are gone because that is the world that is real. I love you. I will always love you, but I have to let you go now. Thomas Bellingham lived to be 79. He kept every letter, 47 in total, in a wooden box under his bed. When he died in 2011, his daughter donated them to the Imperial War Museum with a note he'd written. These letters were my lifeline. They kept me sane when the world made no sense. I wasn't crazy. I was a child trying to survive the unsurvivable. The phenomenon wasn't limited to Europe. In Japan, after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, orphanages filled with children who had lost entire families in seconds. The Hiroshima War Orphans Support Center housed over 400 children. Director Takeshi Nakamura introduced letter writing as therapy. But Japanese letters took on a different character. Cultural concepts of ancestor worship meant writing to the dead wasn't futile. It was legitimate communication with those who had passed beyond. Keiko Yamada, age 10, writing in 1947, Honourable Mother, Honourable Father, it has been 2 years since the flash took you. I light incense for you every day. Sometimes I feel you near, especially when I am sad. I hope that is real. Life is hard here, but I endure. What distinguishes the Japanese letters is the emphasis on duty and honour. Children express shame at being alive when their parents are dead. They promise to honour their memory through achievement. In the United States, the phenomenon appeared differently. American children were told that crying was weakness, that dwelling on loss was self-indulgent. Buck up, move forward. There was little room for public grief, so the letters became secret grief, hidden in pillowcases and hollow bedposts. Records from St. Mary's Home for Children in Boston contain letters discovered in 1987, hidden behind a loose brick. 37 letters from Susan O'Brien, written between 1952 and 1954. Susan was 9 when her mother died of cancer, and her father surrendered her to the orphanage. Her letters are addressed only to her mother. Dear Mama, it has been 3 weeks since you died. They took me from the hospital before I could say goodbye. I wanted to tell you I love you, but the words got stuck. I hope you know now. The desperation for confirmation appears in nearly every collection. Children fixate on last moments, on things unsaid. Susan's final letter, 1954. Dear Mama, I am forgetting you. Not all at once, but piece by piece. First your voice, then your perfume. Yesterday I realized I can't picture your face without looking at the photograph. I am losing you twice, once to death and once to time. Maybe letting go is the only way to keep living. I hope you forgive me. Susan lived to be 64. She never married, never had children. When asked why she never had a family, she reportedly said, I did have a family. I lost them. Some losses you don't recover from. You just learn to carry them. And the phenomenon continues. Korean war orphans wrote letters. Vietnamese orphans wrote letters. Children in refugee camps across the Middle East and Africa write letters. The circumstances change, but the need remains constant. Dr. Sarah Weinstein, working with Rwandan genocide survivors in the late 1990s, documented the practice extensively. Of 2,400 orphan children, over 60% admitted to writing to deceased parents. The letters serve multiple psychological functions, Weinstein wrote. They provide continuity in a disrupted world. They maintain the relationship with the deceased parent, transforming death from an ending into a different kind of presence. Most importantly, they give children control. They cannot bring their parents back, but they can choose what to say to them. But many children stopped writing not because they had processed their grief, but because they began to fear they were crazy. From Amara, age 12, writing from Uganda in 2001, "Dear Mama, the counsellor lady says I should stop writing to you. But how can I accept what is unacceptable? You are my mother. Dead or alive, you are still my mother. Maybe I am crazy, but maybe you can read this. And if there is even a small chance you can, then I must write." The modern era has seen the practice evolve. Children now write emails that are never sent, sitting forever in draft folders. They post on social media to parents who will never read them. In 2019, Stanford researchers studied contemporary orphan correspondence, collecting digital communications from 400 young people who had lost parents. 87% reported that writing provided more relief than traditional therapy. 63% believed, despite knowing it was impossible, that their parents somehow received the message. Marcus Rodriguez, age 17. "I know she can't read my texts, I'm not delusional, but when I write to her, I feel her. The therapist tells me to let go, to move forward, but those stages don't include love. I don't want to accept it, I want to love her, and writing to her lets me do that." The study concluded that psychological models emphasizing letting go may be fundamentally flawed, that maintaining bonds with the deceased may be healthier than severing them. But millions of people continue to hide their letters, believing their most natural response to loss is dysfunction. A letter from Emily Chen, age 14, found after her suicide in 2015. "Dear Dad, the grief counsellor says holding on to you is preventing me from healing, but you are part of who I am. Letting go of you would mean letting go of half of myself. I can't let that go. I won't. Writing to you is the only thing that makes sense in a world that stopped making sense the day you died." Dr. Weinstein responded, "We must stop pathologizing connection to the deceased. These children are acknowledging that death, while ending life, does not end relationship. The love continues. The memories continue. Why should the communication not continue as well? These letters are not symptoms. They are survival mechanisms. The letters continue to be written. In bedrooms and backpacks, in locked journals and password-protected files. Written in the dark, in secret." In 2018, Letters to the Lost began collecting these communications for preservation. The founder, Rebecca Norton, had written to her deceased mother for 30 years. When her own daughter asked if she could write to the grandmother she'd never met, Rebecca realized the practice passes through generations. "These letters are historical documents," Norton explained. "They show how humans deal with the most fundamental crisis, the loss of those we love most. Every letter is a testament to the fact that love transcends death." The archive now contains over 15,000 letters spanning 7 decades and 40 countries. From David Kwan, age 9, writing in 2023, "Dear Mum, it's been 100 days since you died. I counted. The counsellor says I should write in a journal as if I'm talking to myself. But I don't want to talk to myself. I want to talk to you. I miss you so much it feels like I can't breathe sometimes. The counsellor says that feeling will get better, but I don't want it to get better. Because when it gets better, that means I'm getting used to you being gone. I want it to hurt forever, because that means I love you forever." David's father submitted his letters with a note. "I found these under his bed. At first I was scared. His counsellor said he should stop writing them, but then I read every single letter, and I realized something. My son is coping. He's maintaining his love for his mother while learning to live without her physical presence. He's refusing to let death be the final word on their relationship. So I put the letters back, and I decided to write some of my own." Sister Margaret Holloway wrote in her private journal in 1967, "I have saved these letters for 22 years. They are too precious to destroy, but too private to share. They were meant for the dead. But I believe they matter. I believe someone will need to know that children loved their parents so much that they wrote to them even in death. That loss did not end love. That in the darkest moments of human history, children still believed their words could reach across the void. The letters are now housed in the Liverpool Museum of Childhood, preserved for future generations, because these letters matter. They have always mattered. Every child who has ever written Dear Mom or Dear Dad at the top of a page, knowing the words will never reach their destination, but writing anyway, these children are not broken. They are not in denial. They are human. They are brave. They are honouring the most fundamental truth of existence. That love, once given, cannot be taken back. Not by death, not by time, not by the absolute finality of the grave. The letters continue to be written, in pencil and pen, in pixels and posts, in every language and culture. Children writing to parents who will never read them, maintaining conversations that can never be answered. Perhaps, in some way that transcends our understanding, the parents do receive them. Perhaps love creates its own channels of communication. Perhaps the desperate need of a child's heart can breach the boundary between worlds. Or perhaps not. Perhaps the letters go nowhere. Perhaps they are only words on paper, electrons in the void. But it doesn't matter. Because the act of writing them matters. The refusal to let go matters. The insistence that love transcends death matters. These letters orphans write to parents who will never read them are not futile. They are not evidence of grief unprocessed. They are evidence of love that refuses to die, and that perhaps is the most human thing there is.